Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's show. Welcome back. Today we are doing a little bit of a special mid-afternoon, midday emergency broadcast because, ladies and gentlemen, late last night, it was like midnight last night, President Trump, his team, they threw up a new event on today's official White House President Trump schedule. Today, at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, President Trump is scheduled to make an announcement. Now, he normally doesn't do this. This is actually, we had one of these about a week ago, but beyond his announcement a week ago, this is a little bit of an abnormal occurrence. This doesn't happen too often, especially when they throw it up late last night. So today we are going live a little bit earlier than normal to cover this. This announcement is scheduled to take place in about 19 minutes. So we're going live a little bit early because the way I kind of like to do things, you guys know by now, is break down what's been going on last night, today, earlier this afternoon, and what might we be talking about today in the Oval Office with President Trump? Because, you know, the White House, Trump, they don't really tell us what these announcements are going to be about. All they do say is special breaking news bombshell announcement. Everybody come and tune in. So today we are here. I'm going to show you the official schedule. Here it is. We are about 19 minutes out. The president is scheduled to make an announcement. Now, until then, if you all would do me a favor, I want to talk about some crazy things that have been going on in the country, some big developments. We have various topics that are kind of unfolding right this very moment. The first of which, President Trump just a couple hours ago had an extended, maybe 2-hour-long phone call with the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. So we have some big developments with the war in Ukraine and the peace negotiations. We are going to talk about that today before President Trump comes out with his Oval Office announcement. Also, the massive No Kings protests, No Kings riots, as they ended up becoming last time, are scheduled to take place Saturday, October 18th, early in the morning. So, folks, I am going to be here with you. We're going live early in the morning this Saturday. Make sure to subscribe and like today's broadcast on Rumble and on YouTube because we are going to be covering all of that No Kings stuff this Saturday. So we have a little bit of an update as far as that goes. We're going to break down today here in a minute, though. This is also day number 16 of the government shutdown. The Democrats earlier today, a couple hours ago, voted for a 10th time to keep the government shut down. We're probably going to talk about that a little bit today. We do have some updates as far as that goes. We also have some updates regarding Trump's ongoing battle against Antifa. We have some new domestic terror charges being given to some of these arrested Antifa freaks. So I have some news I want to share with you as far as that goes. And finally, this is a big piece of news I think maybe some of you have not heard about. Right now, rumor has it that federal indictments coming from grand juries are going to be dispensed to not only John Bolton, President Trump's former national security advisor, but also Mike Pence. That news just broke. Of course, it's all a little bit early. That news broke about a half hour ago. And so we are going to talk about all of this stuff today. Like I said, we've got 17 minutes until President Trump comes out. I'm going to try to squeeze all of that in. And you know, President Trump, sometimes he's a little bit behind schedule. That's okay. So folks, everybody, make sure to like and to subscribe. Thank you all for being here today. Let's get into the show. What do you say? The first thing I want to share with everybody here, the Communist Party of America is among the many socialist and Democrat Party allied groups involved in sponsoring the upcoming No Kings protest scheduled for this Saturday. Earlier this year, one of the Communist Party's marchers, he was an armed volunteer peacekeeper, is what they're calling him, fired into the crowd in Salt Lake City, believing there was a MAGA threat. He actually killed a bystander and injured a far-left militant. The media brushed over it, but so now these are the official sponsors. I'm trying to pull this image up here on the big screen. These are the official sponsors. These are various domestic political groups. Some of them are foreign. These are NGOs, some of them. October 18th, we're going to be tuning in live this Saturday, 2 days from now. Here it is. The Communist Party of the USA is an official sponsor of the No Kings protest, maybe riot. The Freedom Socialist Party, the New York Progressive Action Network, the Young Communist League, right here, the Young Communist League of New York, So, and of course, as we all know, probably the single biggest financier, the funder of the No Kings riots and protests, as we have seen so far, is a group called Indivisible, which is an NGO which is receiving money from other NGOs. Like George Soros' Open Society, the Arabella Network is giving money, foreign money, into these groups. It's trickling down. It's paying for protesters. It's getting people into the streets. They're being paid. A lot of them, not all of them, are being paid to be out there. Have you noticed how they all have the same signs, the same outfits, the same chants, the same rhetoric, the same talking points? Really, it's the same posters. They all have the same poster printouts. These are not cheap, little posters. These are industrially printed and manufactured in advance. And so, I don't know. Last time the No King stuff happened, it got a little bit dicey. You remember that a couple months ago. It was over the summer. I want to say June, maybe July. And they're doing it again. So we are going to be here this Saturday. Now, there's something else I want to show you. This is a breaking news story that's developing right this very moment. Homeland Security has just arrested an illegal immigrant who was working as a police officer in Illinois Governor Pritzker's state of Illinois. His name is Radule Bojovic, overstayed a B-2 tourist visa that required him to depart the United States on March 31st, 2015, 10 years ago. Over a decade later, he was still not only illegally in the United States, but he was working as a police officer in the Hanover Park Police Department, earning a salary of $78,955. So I would suspect this is him here in the middle. Congratulations, Officer Bojovic. So he's been here illegally in the country for 10 years. He ended up becoming a police officer despite being an illegal alien in Pritzker's home state. We have a Fox News report. We have two of them, actually, kind of breaking this dynamic down. President Trump is going to be coming on out here, folks, in about 13 minutes. We are on standby. Big announcement today.
Let's do breaking news now. Immigration, Customs and Enforcement has just revealed in the last short time a police officer working in Illinois is an illegal immigrant. Radule Bojovic works for the Hanover Police Department. He graduated from the academy in August, but he has been living in the U.S. illegally for a decade after his tourist visa expired in 2015. His illegal status was discovered as part of Operation Midway. So we wanted to bring you the very latest.
How, I'm not a police officer. I've never risen through the ranks of a police force or gone to a police academy. I would assume, I guess I'm wrong, that someone's legal status would have been checked prior to hiring them as a police officer, right? I guess not. Hey, in most states, maybe yes. In Illinois, no. Now, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt chimed in on this entire story. I want to run through this real quick. But first, we do have some super chats real fast I want to read through before any of these drop off the docket here. This is from Sammy. Says, I keep tuning in and spreading the word. Thanks, Matt, for your daily coverage. It is my absolute honor, and I am blessed to be in the position I'm in where you guys tune in every day. We come back. We're talking about the news. You guys know what I want to do. I want to shine a light on the insane rhetoric and behavior of the far left, of the radical left, and you guys, with the help of you and the grace of God, we have the opportunity here to do that every single day. So thank you for coming back. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It means a lot. I want to continue breaking down the story as we wait for President Trump to come on out. We have Julie Adams here. She says, they are so dumb. This flyer gives the FBI exactly who to go for on the money side of Antifa. It's as good as a list. And I hope that right now they are. I hope they are. I believe they are. That seems to be the case right now. Thank you, Julie. Yeah, that's a good place to start. Thank you very much. Thank you. Another one here. Draco says, Matt, Hanover Park is 15 minutes from me. Well, maybe you can become a police officer now, because now that police force seems like they've got a job opening. So if you want to become a police officer in Hanover Park Police Department, you've got a job opening now. At least I would assume. Crack-a-Jack also says, does it blow your mind that in a parallel universe somewhere, Fentanyl Floyd is a cop that killed Crack Rock Jimmy? Yeah, hey, there's all types of parallel universes, maybe. Anything is possible. There's a parallel universe out there where Hillary Clinton is president right now, and the border is open, and 50 million illegal aliens just came in the country again. Good Lord. Thank God we're not in that timeline. Anyway, let's hear about how did an illegal alien become a police officer?
This just came out, apparently as part of Operation Midway Blitz. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, announced the arrest of Radule Bojovic, an illegal alien from Montenegro who was working as a sworn police officer with the Hanover Park Police Department. Bojovic apparently was encountered during a targeted enforcement action as part of Operation Midway Blitz. DHS reminding it's a felony for an illegal alien to possess a firearm. And this fellow apparently was working as a sworn police officer.
I wasn't even thinking about the firearm implications. Wow. If you're an illegal alien, you can't own a firearm. If you're a cop, you have to have a firearm. Now, by the way, fun fact, my wife has a green card. She is here legally. I believe if you have a green card, I think you can get a firearm. Green card, you can get one. Illegal alien, you cannot.
I know you might not know much about it, but wondering if we can get an initial reaction.
No, this is the first time I'm hearing of it. I will take your facts as the facts, John, on this one. And it's unsurprising to me to hear this because we've seen various examples of this. There was a superintendent, I believe in the state of Iowa, who was here in this country illegally with a final order of removal. We've seen that New York State has been giving out licenses illegally to illegal aliens with literally, it says, no name given on the driver's license. So
I'm going to show you guys something about that here in just a minute.
these are the cases that happen when you had an administration, the Biden administration, for 4 years that completely neglected the laws of our homeland, that allowed mass invasion of tens of millions of illegal aliens, and they have been infiltrated into our communities. So this is another unfortunate example of that, and the Department of Homeland Security is doing incredible work every single day in the face of grave danger and threats, and also Democrats holding their paychecks hostage. We have federal law enforcement who are trying to keep our communities safe, and they are not being paid because of the Democrat Party, but they are doing God's work, and we are very grateful for them, and the president stands behind them.
Now, I just have to say real quick, sometimes I look at the chat, sometimes some member of the far left finds their way into our beautiful community here. They say, Matt Morris, you're only mad about illegal aliens because you're a racist. Well, listen, okay, let me push back just a little bit here. This is an illegal alien who seems to be a strapping young white man from Montenegro, is what they said. I don't really care if you're white. Listen, you need to come here legally. Regardless of white or black or brown or purple or blue, whatever. If you're in the country, you need to be here legally. That's my opinion. So listen, he is a young white guy. He seems to be, at least. Take a good look. He's got to go. Your ass is getting deported, buddy. Sorry, pardon my language. Now, there's something I wanted to share with you folks real quick, but first, super chat here. As of 2024, you do not need to be a U.S. citizen to be a police officer in Illinois, but you must be legally authorized to work in the country. Well, of course, he was not, because he seems to have overstayed his work visa, his B-2 visa. I believe that's a work visa. Now, this is the problem with sanctuary states. There's a lot of problems with sanctuary states. I saw this report come out yesterday afternoon. Breaking news, Minnesota Director of Elections, good Lord, admits that illegal immigrants can vote if they get a driver's license. Minnesota Director of Elections admits illegal immigrants can vote if they have a driver's license. Well, now I'm curious, how many states in the country is it possible to get a driver's license if you are an illegal immigrant? Well, here's a list. States that allow undocumented immigrants to obtain driver's licenses: Oregon, Washington, California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Illinois, Virginia, New York, Connecticut, da-da-da-da-da-da. And so what is this, maybe 19 different states? I don't know, 20 something, count them up for me, where if you're an illegal alien, you can get a driver's license, which then allows you to vote. I'll tell you a little anecdote. This is in the 2024 election. I was living in Washington State. I went to register in Washington State to vote for President Trump. And when I went to register in Washington State, they didn't even ask me for my identification. I registered in Washington State 12 months ago, maybe 16 months ago. They never even verified I was an actual American citizen. Passport, driver's license, nope. They didn't even check, let alone when it was time to vote. I voted the same day. I registered, I voted. They didn't even check to see if I was a real person, if I was here legally. So these states are absolutely just insane. Just insane. We have a problem. We got a problem here. Incendiary Bear says, thank you, Matt, for everything you do. I hope everyone stays safe this weekend. I'm going to be here with you guys on Saturday this weekend. I'm praying also, really. You know, I just don't want blood on the streets. Whoever's blood it is, we don't want that. So hopefully things stay civil this weekend, of course. Hopefully, really long term, we are able to dismantle all of these, radically progressive political action groups being funded by foreign NGOs. Hopefully that's what happens next. And then, of course, you gifted 5 memberships as well. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. Steve Boland, B2 is for a visitor visa. Okay, he overstayed his visitor visa. So he wasn't even able to work here legally at all, then, if that's the case. Thank you. And finally, Nikolai, he says, these leftist radicals never actually live anywhere near the people they let in. And it's the same deal across the whole West. You might notice, if you just kind of look at the map, the states in this country that are generally the most favorable for illegal aliens, they vote time and time again, these sanctuary states, we love illegal aliens. They are the states that are most removed from the threat and danger and problems that illegal aliens pose. This is Oregon. This is Washington. This is Maryland. This is Maine. This is Vermont. Okay, this is Illinois. It's states that are far away from the border. It's Minnesota. It's states that are really detached and far removed from the direct real-world consequences of illegal immigration. For them, illegal immigration is more of a concept. They are not confronting it face to face. They don't have to deal with the Tren de Aragua gang members dealing fentanyl in their neighborhood or stealing people's catalytic converters out from underneath their car or breaking into people's houses in the middle of the night. No. For them, immigration is more of it's an ethereal concept. It's not grounded in reality whatsoever. And so I think that does kind of influence the behavior a lot. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Stephen Miller, we saw that yesterday afternoon, President Trump, he gave some kind words to Stephen Miller during yesterday's announcement. Stephen Miller responded, and he kind of chimes into this entire dynamic.
First of all, let me say how touched I was by President Trump's kind words today, and what a extraordinary honor it is to work for him. The work that he has done on public safety these last several months will go down in history as one of the greatest achievements that any president has ever accomplished.
That is
Just
right.
look here at our nation's capital, Sean.
That's
You and I have talked about this before. It is the largest, steepest, fastest reduction in violent crime ever recorded at any place in the history of our country.
Now, if you weren't here for yesterday's broadcast, a little bit of a recap. President Trump and FBI Director Kash Patel, they had an announcement in the Oval Office yesterday afternoon. What they said was that as a result of their ongoing efforts, they have been able to double the rate at which the FBI is arresting violent criminals across the country. Normally, for the last couple years, decade or so, the FBI is arresting around 14,000 violent criminals across the country every single year. That number, by the way, we're only 9 months in, 8.5 or 9 months into Trump's term. That number is already 28,000 violent criminal arrests over the last 9 months. Whereas normally for the last couple of years, it's been 14,000, 15,000 at most. Trump has doubled that number. So that's what we're talking about here. Yeah, this is a big deal. That number that's 28,000 right now, it'll probably end up being 40,000. We've got another 3 months or 2 months in the year. Okay, looking good.
I think you would say the history of any country. The change has been night and day. This is now one of the safest cities in the world from one of the most violent cities in the world. In Memphis, where President Trump has launched his task force in full force less than 2 weeks ago, we are already hearing reports of crime reductions that are so staggering, people can't even believe it. And we see videos posted online all day by residents who are saying for the first time that they can remember, their kids can play outside, they can walk down the street, they can go where they want to go, do what they want to do. They feel liberated because they have been liberated. At that same press conference today, President Trump talked about how under his leadership and direction, the FBI has arrested and removed and prosecuted with the Department of Justice over 20,000 of the most violent criminals on earth in just the last several months. 20,000. Think about how many lives that saved, Sean. Think about how many families that saved.
Well, as you all know, a lot of these people, these criminals, they are repeat and habitual offenders. And these liberal states, these far left states, they're very soft on crime. They keep on letting these violent criminals out. They never actually adequately punish them or lock them up in a prison. And so when he says, think about all the lives that have been saved here because of President Trump's federal crackdown, these are not state. This is a federal level. They are getting locked up for a long time. It's a different dynamic. You're saving hundreds or thousands of lives. This crackdown, it is a big deal.
The contrast couldn't be more clear. We have Democrat politicians, Democrat judges, Democrat prosecutors setting loose thugs, hoodlums, gangbangers, and cartel killers that are stabbing children to death, murdering innocent women on the subway, mugging people in broad daylight, making life hell for law-abiding citizens. And we have President Trump using DOJ, DHS, and yes, the U.S. military to make our cities safe again for all Americans. I am so proud, Sean, to be able to be a small part of President Trump's leadership and his effort to make America secure for our.
I have to say, you guys know that I have been a little bit critical of Trump's FBI, Kash Patel. He kind of feels like they're not doing a whole lot. That's one of the common criticisms. I had my socks blown off yesterday, okay? Arresting, he said 20,000. I was there yesterday. It's 28,000 arrests of violent criminals nationwide, 28 in the last 9 months. That's a big deal. That is over doubling the normal rate that it had been for the last couple of years. That is a big deal. Everybody says, nobody's getting arrested. I know what we mean. When we say, nobody's getting arrested, we're talking about people like Obama and Comey and Brennan and Clapper and Hillary Clinton. We want to see some of those people get arrested. I'm with you. Snatching up 28,000 violent criminals. This is what impacts every single day Americans, everyday regular Americans. Okay. That is a big deal. The country is noticeably safer 2 times. We are making the country safer at 2 times the regular rate. That is a big deal. Now, piggybacking on that, we got news about a half hour ago. And by the way, folks, I want to say I am keeping tabs on President Trump. Okay, I'm looking. The official White House page is right here. Bear with me. We are not going to miss anything. Any minute now, President Trump is coming on out, and he's going to give this big breaking news announcement. We're all sitting on the edge of our seat waiting for it, so we're not going to miss that. But of course, we're going to talk about some other stuff as we wait for that event to begin. So, FBI Director Kash Patel, about a half hour ago, 2 hours ago, he said, first time ever, the FBI arrested Antifa-aligned anarchist violent extremists and terrorism charges have been brought for the July 4th Prairie Land attack in Texas at the ICE facility. This was like 10 different Antifa members. They staged as a premeditated ambush on some ICE agents at this Prairie Land, Texas ICE facility. It was a coordinated attack. Under President Trump's new authorities, we've made 20 plus arrests. No one gets to harm law enforcement, not on my watch. The DOJ under Trump's leadership has now brought first Antifa-related terrorism charges in the Texas facility ICE attack. We want to see more of this. All of these people should be charged as domestic terrorists. Now, Bernie Sanders talking about ICE arrests and ongoing ICE maneuvers. Bernie Sanders chimed in here earlier today. Let's see what he had to say.
What he is trying to do and what ICE raids and knocking down doors are about is to make all of you afraid.
That's
You're
right.
a federal employee, don't speak up. You're a government official, don't speak up. You're in a law firm that somehow had clients taking on Trump, don't speak up because they're going to punish you. You are on CNN, we're going to sue you if you ask the wrong questions. My friends, what this is about is a movement toward authoritarianism.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good Lord.
Intimidating us all.
We live in a republic. Every couple years, we get to vote for our House representatives and our senators and our president. Once the House reps and the senators get to Capitol Hill, they then vote on our behalf. Through this process, time and time again, we, the American people, have decided we want a closed border. We want mass deportations. We do not want sanctuary states and sanctuary cities to be aiding and abetting illegal foreign invaders. We do not want, the American people, we do not want our taxpayer dollars subsidizing and paying for the existence of these illegal invaders that we also don't want in the country in the first place. These sanctuary city politicians, people like Bernie Sanders, people like AOC, It is them. They are operating in direct and open defiance of the American people. We have voted time and time again to have, in fact, federal immigration law. We do not want these people here. President Trump and ICE and DHS, they are enacting the democratic will of the American people that we have voted for time and time again. But still, this is being framed as, well, President Trump is enforcing federal immigration law and that makes him a fascist. What the hell are you talking about? What are you talking about? The American people have said time and time again, we want this. We do not want illegal aliens. What do you mean this is fascism? President Trump is enacting the democratic will of the American people. I feel like I'm living in crazy town. I feel like I'm going insane. We have a super chat here from DPXDHS. He says, I watched the final months of the Berlin Wall in the Soviet Union. It was all too good to be true. History is repeating itself. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. Bernie Sanders went on to say, what is this here?
Republicans have been appealing to audiences, especially young people like myself, online using social media.
Yep.
Why does Republican messaging on social media seem so much more effective?
That's a good question. It is true. The Democrats, they are not breaking through to the young people these days.
Than Democratic messaging, and what can we do about it?
Well, that's a great question. I think
Okay. Okay.
the Republicans are effective. They have learned a lot about social media. And by the way, it doesn't hurt that they have.
Okay, that's enough. Okay. You know what? It works. It is effective. We're going to put a sombrero on you. You are getting the sombrero. You are now wearing a sombrero. It works. The people like it, folks. You know what the people don't like? This is day number 16. Day number 16. It's been over 2 weeks. You know that? Of the federal government shutdown, of the Democrat shutdown, of Schumer's shutdown, of AOC's shutdown. Today, this morning, a couple hours ago, the Democrats voted for a 10th time. Time number 10 to keep this government shut down. And still, even though they are the ones dragging their feet here and refusing to open up the government, still they are blaming the Republicans for this. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt chimes in.
The president and the White House's position on this Democrat shutdown has not changed. All they need to do is vote to reopen the government. That is all we are asking for. That's all Republicans want. We want to reopen the government, get people back to work, get people paid. And the Democrats are just so selfishly using politics to shut down the government and hold the entire country hostage. We now have thousands of flights across the country that have been delayed and canceled because air traffic controllers and TSA agents are not getting paid through this shutdown. President Trump had to tap into tariff revenue to get WIC money out the door for vulnerable women, infant, and children. President Trump and the White House used a creative solution to get our troops paid. The president is bending over backwards to do what's right by the American people, and the Democrats are continuing to play partisan politics. We hope every day that sensible Democrats with just a little bit of courage to stand against Bernie Sanders and AOC, who, according to the CNN town hall last night, are clearly the new leadership of the Democrat Party, stand against that.
You hear that? Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they are the new leadership of the Democrat Party. Rough. That's brutal. That's a rough situation.
That radical nonsense and vote to reopen the government. And then we can have serious conversations about health care, about immigration, about our economy. That's what this administration wants to do. President Trump wants to fix our broken health care system. That's why he's had a number of announcements with major drug companies to bring down the cost of prescriptions and pharmaceutical drugs in this country for American consumers. He's more than committed to talking about that. But first, we must reopen the government, and it's deeply unfortunate Democrats voted today for the 10th time to shut down the government for the 16th.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, in case anybody has not been following this shutdown dynamic here, it's really just some basic math. I'm going to break this all down. Even a kindergarten can understand all of this. In order to pass the continuing resolution, the budget to reopen the government, you need 60 votes in the Senate. The Republicans have 53 Republican senators, 52 of which are actively voting every time and time again, 10 times now, to reopen the government. The one Republican senator that is not voting to reopen the government, his name is Rand Paul. That's a different conversation. The point is we've got 52 out of 60. This is 99% of Republicans in the Senate are voting to reopen the government. Now, you've got the Democrats. Okay, what this means is that we need 8 Democrat votes to come on over and vote and reopen the government. Only 3 of the Democrats, there's 47 of them in total, 47, 3 out of 47 of the Democrats are voting to reopen the government. Yet they are trying to blame the Republicans for closing down the government. 52 out of 53 Republicans are voting to reopen, whereas 3 out of 47 Democrats are voting to reopen. Make that math make sense. It doesn't. Also, it gets even crazier when you consider the fact that this budget we're talking about, that this continuing resolution extends, which we want to vote yes to reopen the government. This budget was originally created by who? Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer and the rest of the congressional Democrats in March of 2024, about a year and a half ago. It was originally put together by them. It is their budget. This is Joe Biden's budget put together by Chuck Schumer that they have voted on time and time again, but now this time they've decided not to. This is their budget. It is absolutely insane. It is insane. And then beyond that, they are blaming the Republicans for this entire mess. It really is just absolutely astounding. It is partisan politics at its finest. This is Bernie Sanders. Crazy Bernie once called a government shutdown a, quote, serious and dangerous action that we must do everything possible to prevent. This is what he said a year ago.
The truth is that shutting down the government is a serious and dangerous action that we must do everything possible to prevent.
By the way, he has voted no 10 times now in the last 2.5 weeks.
Shutting down the government would impact tens of millions of our fellow Americans who would be unable to access government services. It would severely impact federal employees who would not get the paychecks they expected. It would also have a very significant impact on our armed forces. In other words, we must do everything that we can to prevent a government shutdown.
Now, I don't know if you heard Carolyn Levitt say this a moment ago. All of these veterans, active duty military personnel, vulnerable Americans, single mothers that rely on federal assistance, people like this, real vulnerable Americans that we ought to take care of. This government shutdown is taking money away from them. They're not getting their assistance or their paychecks that they are working for and earning. However, Trump has gotten involved. He said, you know what? We are going to take some of this tariff revenue. We are going to make sure using the tariff revenue, he's making now $30 or $35 billion a month as a consequence of these tariffs. We're taking the tariff revenue and we are taking that money and putting it in the pockets of the veterans and of these vulnerable Americans that do need help. So these evil, terrible tariffs are now paying for the things that the Democrats have taken away from these people. Really, this entire shutdown from the Democrat point of view has completely and totally backfired. Everybody sees right through the type of bullcrap they are pulling right now. This is Bernie Sanders, like a year ago? This is Bernie Sanders yesterday evening.
Senator Sanders, on that front, on government shutdowns before, obviously you've said before that you believe shutting down the government is a serious and dangerous action. You said that we must do everything possible to prevent it. What would you say to people who are missing their paychecks about why it's worth it now?
Well, let me just, first of all, thank you very much for your service. And we're going to do everything we can and move as quickly as we can to make sure you get your paychecks.
Open up the government. Why have you voted 10 times, Bernie Sanders, to keep the government shut down? I want to take a look at the super chat. This is from BP America. He says, the giraffe protester in Portland has received $100K in funding in just 48 hours. He plans to sue ICE. I don't know anything about that. Maybe we can pull up some information about that later today, but I remember him. He had the inflatable costume. We'll pull that up later today because I don't have any other details on that. Thank you, though. I appreciate that. Sounds terrible. I hope not. Here's another clip from last night.
What does that need to look like before you would vote to reopen the government? Or is a commitment from the White House and Republicans enough?
No doubt.
I mean,
Mr. President, is a very honest man. And if he says something, man, you could take it to the bank.
So you're saying his word is not enough?
Bankruptcy court.
His word? No.
So what do you need to see? What commitments from?
I think we need to see ink on paper. I think we need to see legislation. I think we need to see votes. And I think we need to see these things pass on the floor of the House and the Senate and signed by President Trump. I don't accept IOUs. I don't accept pinky promises. That's not the business that I'm in.
So I don't know if AOC knows this. She is actually not a senator. Her opinion actually, just to be clear, literally does not matter. Nothing she has to say about any of this matters because she is in the House of Representatives. This continuing resolution was already passed through the House against her say-so. The Republicans did it without her, and now it's in the Senate. She actually doesn't matter at all. Bernie Sanders, I guess, does to some degree because he is in the Senate. He should vote to reopen this. Her opinion is meaningless on this. Also, I just have to highlight this. President Trump, for the last 9 months, has been shaking hands with global leaders all around the face of the planet, working out new trade deals, peace deals, ending wars, ending conflicts, getting Hamas to disarm. And it's like in Africa and in the Middle East and all over the place, Pakistan and India, the Congo, civil war. He has de-escalated situation after situation. He has brought in, $15 trillion of foreign investment from other countries around the world, investing in America. This guy is making deals, and she, who are you? You're just a nobody. She's sitting here acting like Trump can't be worked with. We can't make a deal with Trump. He's just a liar. You can't take his word for anything. Says who? Says you. He seems to be pretty effective at making deals with everybody else other than you. Maybe it's you who are the problem. Bernie Sanders, AOC, maybe you are the problem. President Trump is making deals all over the world. Speaking of deals, another little tidbit of today's news, by the way, I'm keeping tabs on the official White House YouTube channel. President Trump is not live yet. Inside of the Oval Office, I'm looking at the Associated Press. They are not live yet. So now President Trump is 17 minutes behind schedule. That's okay. We've got a lot to talk about today, folks. So that's fine. But still, we are on standby waiting for Trump. He's got some big bombshell announcement we're going to be talking about today inside the Oval Office. President Trump earlier today had about a 2-hour-long conversation with Vladimir Putin of Russia, talking about working out a peace deal. Take a look at this. This is what he said himself. As Trump posted, I have just concluded my telephone conversation with President Vladimir Putin of Russia, and it was a very productive phone call. President Putin congratulated me on the United States and the United States of the great accomplishment of peace in the Middle East, something that he said has been dreamed of for centuries. I actually believe that the success in the Middle East will help in our negotiation in attaining an end of the war between Russia and Ukraine. President Putin thanked the First Lady, Melania, for her involvement with children. He was very appreciative and said that this will continue. Melania has been working to save children from Ukraine, children that are being negatively impacted by the war. Melania has been helping the children of Ukraine who maybe have lost their parents in the war, etc. He goes on to say, we also spent a great deal of time talking about trade between Russia and the United States when the war with Ukraine is over. At the conclusion of the call, we agreed that there will be a meeting of our high-level advisors next week. Oh, they're meeting again. The United States' initial meetings will be led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio together with various other people to be designated. A meeting location is to be determined. President Putin and I will then meet in an agreed-upon location, Budapest, Hungary, to see if we can bring this inglorious war between Russia and Ukraine to an end. President Zelensky and I will be meeting tomorrow in the Oval Office, where we will discuss my conversation with Putin and much more. I believe great progress was made with today's telephone conversation. Well, let's just remember the timeline. Let's take a look at things that have gone on over the last couple days. Yesterday afternoon, in fact, we got the confirmation that Trump has persuaded Modi, the Prime Minister of India, to stop purchasing oil and energy, liquefied natural gas from Russia. India was perhaps Russia's biggest purchaser of energy. Russia is an energy exporter. And Trump, for the last 9 months, has been trying to get every single country around the world in the orbit of Russia to stop buying energy from Russia. The reason why is because if you're buying energy from Russia, you're giving Russia money that then they use to fund and pay for the ongoing war. Trump had the genius idea, if I can get everybody around the world to stop buying energy from Russia, then maybe we can sort of financially or economically cripple Russia, and that will help bring leverage to the table to help negotiate the end of the conflict. Well, one day, literally 24 hours after Trump announces that India is going to stop buying energy, now he's having breakthrough conversations with Putin. Okay, I think we are looking at a case of cause and effect here. Trump is he's doing it again. Carolyn Levitt chimes in on this. Let's see what she has to say.
I just left the Oval Office and spoke with the president, the Secretary of State, and the vice president about the call. And the president, first of all, deserves tremendous credit for how much time and effort he has put into solving peace in the Middle East, which everyone said he wouldn't be able to do. There were many doubters about the president and his national security team, and they are getting it done. And now with respect to the Russia-Ukraine war, which the president continues to be wholeheartedly committed to ending, it was a very good and productive call between the president and President Putin. They discussed many issues. President Putin congratulated the president for solving peace in the Middle East. They also discussed, of course, the Russia-Ukraine war, and they have agreed to convene a meeting of their high-level staff next week to continue these very important discussions, which may be followed by yet another meeting between President Trump and President Putin. I believe the president will be putting out his own statement on this matter momentarily, so everyone should keep their eyes on Truth Social. But it was a good and productive call. And then, of course, we will welcome President Zelensky here to the White House again tomorrow so the president can continue those conversations with the Ukrainian side of this conflict as well.
And there you have it. And now there's a related super chat I want to take a look at here from the Bearded Ham. Thank you very much. He says, Trump is doing things that no other president has done before, which gives him new weapons that have never been used politically, and the Democrats don't have critical thinking abilities to counter. Well, I mean, if we want to talk about these trade negotiations, actually, President Trump explicitly said this yesterday. He said he's worked out 7 or 8 different peace deals around the world in the last 9 months. And he said 5 or 6 of those deals he has been able to negotiate as a result of leveraging trade tariffs. You know, and as much as people have been willing to criticize the tariffs, prices have not significantly raised in the country. Everybody said tariffs are literally nothing more than a tax than a tax on the American consumer. That has ended up being wrong. They're generating $35 trillion a month in revenue for the federal government. That's a big deal, which is now being used to pay the benefits of veterans and vulnerable Americans as a consequence of the shutdown. That's a big deal. And he's negotiating peace deals all over the world using the tariffs as leverage. That is a big deal. Seems like these tariffs, it's a pretty good dynamic we have going here. And Trump was really the first one to do them. It's a brilliant strategy. Thank you, Bearded Ham. I appreciate that. I don't know if you guys saw this the other day. We've been having Democrats, members of the far left, that have been taking credit, I kid you not, for President Trump's peace negotiations between Hamas and Israel. They've been actually saying, well, the deal that President Trump enacted between Hamas and Israel is actually the deal that Joe Biden created, and then he got voted out, so he didn't have time to bring it over the finish line, but Joe Biden actually created the deal, and then President Trump stole Joe Biden's deal, peace deal between Hamas and Israel, and now Trump is taking credit for something that Biden did. Come on. Like, do you expect anybody to believe that? In fact, you know what? If you guys can stay with me here for a minute, that is so just obviously ridiculous. There's something I want to show you here that is going to debunk that entire narrative. And I've got it right here because this narrative is just so absurd and ridiculous. Take a look at this. This is Biden's envoy to the Middle East. His name is Brett McGurk. This is what Brett McGurk had to say a couple months ago. The president laid out this framework in May, at the end of May, and the Israelis agreed on it. And in August, we actually thought we were getting close to a deal. Once again, this is Biden's envoy to the Middle East. The U.S., Egypt, and Qatar, we put together what we called a mediator proposal to try to bridge some differences. I have to say, Hamas never accepted the deal. Hamas never agreed to release the hostages, other than solely on its terms, which was basically for the Israeli forces to totally leave Gaza, permanent ceasefire, and go back to October 6th, kind of bygones be bygones. So this is Brett McGurk, Joe Biden's envoy, special envoy to the Middle East, admitting, yeah, we couldn't get Hamas to work with us. Yeah, our negotiations totally failed. Hamas was not willing to meet us halfway or do anything with us. Our negotiations failed. Well, guess what? Now we have President Trump in the office, and these hostages are being released. We have a ceasefire. We have sort of a decoupling here. We're making progress for the first time in about 2 years. Now, there's something else I want to talk to you. Earlier on in today's show, I brought up this is a developing story saying that, well, I'm just going to read this off to you. Prosecutors are likely to seek a grand jury indictment against ex-Trump advisor John Bolton, who is under investigation for mishandling classified information. Interesting story. And like I said, if you remember, it seems as if Mike Pence, President Trump's former vice president, is also involved in this and might be facing a federal indictment as well. Take a look at this report.
Sources tell ABC News federal prosecutors are expected to seek a grand jury indictment of former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton. Bolton has been an outspoken critic of President Trump since leaving his first administration. You might remember federal agents searched Bolton's home and offices in August as part of an investigation into his handling of classified documents.
Yep.
Bolton has denied ever unlawfully removing classified materials from his time in government. Now he could be the third of Trump's political enemies to face charges in as many weeks. ABC News Justice reporter Alex Malin is here with more on that. Alex, what's the latest here?
Yeah, so as soon as this afternoon, we expect prosecutors in Maryland to go before a grand jury in Greenbelt and seek an indictment of Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton. Now, we don't know exactly the contents of what they're going to allege he took or, disseminated potentially that was classified. But we do know, based on that search that was conducted last August, there were search warrants that were later unsealed at the request of media organizations, including ABC News. And in those unsealed search warrants, they do recount basically what they received or they obtained during those searches of Bolton's home. That includes documents that were marked classified, confidential, also disk drives. And this all stems, according to that search warrant, from an investigation that began after the United States became aware that a foreign entity had hacked Bolton's AOL accounts. Now, that's really important because that would indicate that maybe a foreign entity that did hack that account came upon the exact type of classified information, and that would obviously pose grave potential concerns if he actually did have highly classified information on his AOL account. So, as you mentioned, Bolton has denied all wrongdoing. We don't know whether the grand jury will move forward in handing up that indictment. They will. But we could, if he is indicted, expect to see him in court as soon as later this week.
Now, the reason why this story is just so rich, sweet, dare I say delicious, is because in response to this story, in response to this grand jury considering passing an indictment for Bolton because Bolton took classified documents back to his home address, back to his house, in response to this story, the mainstream Democrat establishment, what they are saying is that, oh, well, this is President Trump weaponizing the justice system to pursue his political rivals, all because the rivals took classified documents back to their house. What's the big deal? Because we all know what happened in August of 2022 when Joe Biden's FBI, they put together a bogus case to raid President Trump's Mar-a-Lago. They raided through his wife's underwear drawer, his son's Barron Trump's bedroom. Listen, this is exactly what they did to Trump. And now it's happening to Bolton, who really is a complete and total traitor. Listen, I'm not exactly feeling very sympathetic. Now, the other curious component of this entire story here is that former Vice President Mike Pence may be implicated in the Department of Justice's investigation of former NSA advisor John Bolton. Reports, I see this here. What does this say? We'll see it. We'll check if this seems to be true. Reports indicate Pence's involvement stems from potential ties to classified document handling and Flynn framing allegations uncovered in Bolton's probe, but he's not a primary target. No charges yet have been filed against Pence, unlike the DOJ's push for Bolton's indictment over unlawful retention of secrets. He took classified emails back. We might be seeing Pence implicated in this. If they start digging through the case and they see, hold up, wait a minute, Pence was a part of this also, things are going to get very interesting. Things will get very interesting very, very fast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what, right now, President Trump is about 30 minutes behind schedule with this Oval Office announcement. So I do want to say thank you all very much for tuning in and bearing with me. If you are new to the show, please make sure to subscribe and like today's broadcast. It really does help a lot. Literally any second, President Trump is going to be coming on out here. I'm keeping tabs on the Associated Press. Do we have anything from them at the moment? Yes, no. As you all know, the official White House page generally goes live 2 or 3 minutes before the event begins. Still nothing coming out of the official White House page. This event was scheduled for 30 minutes ago. Stall for 30 minutes. I've already been stalling for 50 minutes. No, I'm kidding. We actually have done a good job going through today's news. It's been a very eventful day. It really, really has. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some super chats here. Thank you all very much for your patience. I really do. You know, sometimes these situations are a little bit late. So now I will say we actually don't know what the big announcement today is going to be. It could be relating to Russia, could be relating to Hamas Israel, could be relating to Venezuela, could be the announcement of the Insurrection Act. Could be the Insurrection Act. Could be something relating to an ongoing investigation with Antifa. It could be one of a dozen things, one of 24 or 30 different things. So there's a reason why we're all sitting here waiting on the edge of our seat. I see a big super chat over in Rumble from Free Florida. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much, Free Florida. Thank you for tuning in on Rumble. I'm going to take a look at this one. This is BG says AOL. Yeah, who uses AOL these days? AOL. I haven't even heard that name in about 15 years. Lisa Marie says AOC equals the reason they have to put warning labels on bubble wrap. Do not eat or wrap over your head. Honestly, do not think she heeded the warning. Seems she lacks that air. I would speculate there was a lot of Tylenol involved. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm right. Maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You guys have seen these videos of liberal women, radically progressive women saying, who's President Trump to tell me that I shouldn't take Tylenol when I'm pregnant? And then they go and they upload a video of themselves chugging Tylenol and they have an 8-month pregnant belly. And it's like, oh man, that poor baby. I feel bad because the children, the babies of these unhinged progressive women are now suffering and maybe even being disabled or whatever, because these women are just they have such a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome. It is terrible. In fact, I believe a woman died. I believe a woman, she said, who's Trump to tell me not to take Tylenol when I'm pregnant? She took so much Tylenol, she actually passed away. She got hospitalized and died. Imagine you are so Trump deranged that you die. That is something else. That's just insane. It's terrible. It's really just terrible. Like it's that point. It's not even funny at that point. Thank you, BG. Thank you, Lisa Marie, and also Tackard. He says, I'm going to call it. Bolton will say he was taking advantage of the stay-at-home policy from COVID. Ban me, YouTube. Listen, I'm not going to ban you. I don't know what YouTube is going to do, but I'm not going to ban you. Allegedly, YouTube is done censoring conservative voices. Allegedly. Whether or not that is true, I don't know. I maybe have a little bit of PTSD with you guys because all of us, we lived through the COVID era, the Joe Biden era, when every single website in the world, other than Rumble, frankly, Rumble was the one great website during the COVID era, still is, but every single website pretty much was censoring conservative voices left and right, shutting them down, silenced, banned, whatever. And so, hey, I'm a smart guy. I say, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. Of course, we love being here on YouTube. I love everybody's here on YouTube. It's our bread and butter. I'm also like, listen, just to be careful, I got to get some people over on Rumble. I need people over here on Rumble too. We're trying to build out the Rumble presence because who knows? Maybe Kamala Harris wins the 2028 election. God forbid. Maybe we've got to maybe Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is our president 4 years from now. And then she starts making phone calls. YouTube, shut him down. Twitter, shut him down. Facebook, shut him down, whatever. And then we're all back to where we were in 2021. I guess the point is I really appreciate everybody over on Rumble, but also everybody on YouTube. Things do seem pretty good on YouTube these days. So I appreciate it. Now I'm going to go ahead and reload this ladies and gentlemen, we are moments away. The White House page has just officially gone live 1 minute ago, although it's not really properly loading here. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay, great. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on standby. And we're all here doing it together. Thank you, everybody. A little bit of a heads up this weekend, because we have so many people tuning in right now. I'll let you guys know what's going on. I am going to be here tomorrow morning for the No Kings protests, but my mom is visiting. She flew in from out of state, so she's going to be here this weekend. I will be with you covering the No Kings stuff tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. There will be no videos this weekend. I think Friday, I might not even be here at all. Oh, I was saying tomorrow. On Saturday, I will be here for No Kings. Friday, I will be gone, I believe. We're doing family stuff. Sunday, I might be gone the entire day also. But I will be here on Saturday for the No Kings event, because that is going to be something else. So I'm going to be a little bit MIA this weekend is kind of what I'm saying. But we will be covering the No Kings event this weekend. So the No Kings protest, the No Kings riot. We all saw how things unfolded last time. Might end up becoming a riot. What I've been reading is that the No Kings event is going to be at its largest in Washington, D.C. Of course, they're going to be having stuff in every city across the entire country, but I think Washington, D.C. is kind of their primary target. I would expect some big stuff in Portland, Chicago also, I would suppose. But I think Washington, D.C. is really the big location tomorrow, so that is where our primary focus is going to be. I want to take a look at this super chat over here on Rumble. He says, working emergency medicine for many years now, kids would overdose on Tylenol thinking it was harmless. We pumped their stomachs and sent them to ICU where they went into liver failure. There was a kid I went to high school with. This is a long time ago. And it's exactly the same story. This kid, he wasn't really a close friend of mine, but everybody in the school knew everybody. And he was 17, I think. He tried to take a bunch of Tylenol pills, thinking he would be able to get high. He was trying to get high. He took a bunch of Tylenol pills and almost died. He had to go get his stomach pumped at the hospital. Thank God he didn't lose his life. But no, you're right. There's a lot of dumb people out there doing dumb stuff like that. Good Lord. Terrible. They call it the Darwin Award. Evolution is what that is. I suppose it's terrible. It's brutal to say, but listen, hey, I don't know. Anyway, thank God a lot of these people are not dying, but some of them are. It's terrible. It's terrible. We also had, well, actually, I'm not going to, there was another situation like that at my high school that was perhaps even worse, but it's a little bit gross, so I'm not going to tell you guys. I don't know if you folks saw this yesterday afternoon. I actually posted, this is what my office looks like. I had some people asking, hey, can you post a picture of your studio? I said, yeah, sure, why not? And so this is actually, this is what it is. I told you, it's a one-man show. It's a one-man show. I'm in my little office here. It's inside the house. I'm at home right now. And I've got four different monitors here and a bunch of lights. And this is what it is. I know some people, they like to see kind of what's going on behind the scenes. This is a different angle here. So this is what it is. It's my humble broadcasting studio. It's looking not too bad though, huh? It's AI. You think it's artificial intelligence? Okay. You want me to tell you? Okay, I'll tell you the gross story if you really need. Let me close that there. Where's our broadcast? There it is. These young boys at the high school, they were trying to get drunk and they bought a bunch of hand sanitizer and tampons. I don't know where they got this idea. Maybe they read about it on the internet. They purchased a box of tampons and hand sanitizer and they dipped the tampons in hand sanitizer, and as the story goes, both of these boys, they got hospitalized. They got alcohol poisoning. They had to go to the hospital. They almost died. They put those tampons where the sun don't shine, so to speak. I kid you not, they almost died. Very bad, deadly, very stupid, incredibly stupid thing to do. These are two boys. They were about my age. I think they were a year younger than me, actually, when I was in high school. Once again, yeah, because it bypasses the liver. Your body absorbs and digests that stuff differently if it's... Listen, hey, there's a reason why we eat with our mouth and not the other way, okay? So don't be dumb. It was deadly. Not just dangerous, deadly. Terrible. Terrible. They probably read about that on the internet or something. I don't know. Terrible. Anyway, folks, the official White House page here has been live now for 5 minutes. I would suspect that that President Trump comes out and gives this Oval Office announcement any second now. Any second now. Normally they give about a 5-minute head start on these White House broadcasts, so I think we're going to see this any moment now. Do we have anything coming out of the Associated Press? Anything behind the scenes? Not yet. Not yet. Well, any moment now. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Once again, hey, if you guys are new to the show, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'll tell you what, listen, I keep looking around. You know, I'm kind of a competitive guy. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit competitive. I keep looking around at some of the other news broadcasting channels here on YouTube and on Rumble, and I'm saying, man, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good these days. I'm looking at the numbers everybody else is doing. I'm saying, man, we're doing pretty good these days. So I really want to say thank you all very much. The support lately has been astronomical, through the roof. Thank you very much. You know, maybe while I think we have another minute or two here, I'm going to look at some more YouTube super chats. I see one here from Patricia Luna. Have fun with your mom and your family this weekend. Oh, thank you, Patricia. Thank you very much. You know, I love my mom very much. I've said before, my mom is a liberal. My mom is a progressive. And so I really genuinely, I like talking politics with my mom, and she likes to argue, frankly. I like to argue. We both like to argue. And so, but we do it in a very loving, civil way because we're family. And so I'm excited to talk politics with my mom. It's been about a month since I've seen her. I'm excited. I love to talk. I love to argue with my mom. I love to argue politics with my mom. So I'm very excited for this weekend. There's a lot to talk about. So it's going to be a fun weekend. I'm very excited. No, thank you. I appreciate that, Patricia. Bought and Paid For says, taking your mom to church on Sunday? Oh, you know what? I don't know. Maybe not. I'll be honest. I only went to church that one time. It was the Sunday following Charlie Kirk. Then we haven't been back since. I have been diligently reading the Bible. Last night I spent about 45 minutes reading the book of Joshua. Now I finished Deuteronomy yesterday, and now I'm on Joshua. And so now I'm hearing about how the Israelites waged war all through the Levant. But to be honest, can I confide in you guys here for a minute? I went to church this one time. It was the first time I had been to church in about 20 years since I was a kid. And we went to church. I took my kids and my wife the first Sunday after Kirk was assassinated. And I'm happy I went. It was a good experience, but it wasn't a perfect experience. And the reason why is because we went to a Lutheran church. My family's kind of like loosely Lutheran, I guess. So I went to a Lutheran church. And there was a female pastor who spent about half of the sermon, or the, you know, whatever it's called. Maybe it's called a sermon. I don't know, frankly. Anyway, about half of the sermon she spent talking about climate change. And she was talking about how Jesus Christ was a climate refugee. And I don't even know where she was pulling that from. I don't know where she was getting that from, but she spent 30 minutes. It was about the service. It was a 60-minute service, and she spent about 30 minutes talking about how Christ was a climate refugee. And, you know, frankly, it just kind of hit. It wasn't right for me. And so really now I need to find a new church. I need to find a new church to go to. You know, they say not every church is for everybody. Okay, well, maybe that's not the one for me. So I need to find a new one. I got to find a new one, and I'm sure I will, but I just haven't found it yet. So I need to find a new one. It's the wrong church for me. In my head, when I go to church, what type of experience do I want? I want to hear what's in the Bible. I don't want to hear your, crazy interpretation of what's in the Bible. I just want to see what's in the Bible. What did Jesus say? What did Christ say? Not your interpretation of what Christ said. I just want to hear what Christ said. That's what I want. I want it to be strictly biblical. That's how I feel. I don't want to hear about how Christ was a climate refugee, in your opinion. So I need to find a different church. But still on my own, I'm reading through the Bible. I told you guys I'm gonna read the entire book, and I'm doing it front to cover. I frankly, prior to about a month ago, I had never cracked a Bible open really in my entire life, my entire adult life. I'd never really read any of it. And so now I'm reading through it about 45 minutes every single day. I've read through, like I said, front to cover, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and now I'm on the book of Joshua. That's where I am, going through it. I read about 45 minutes a day. Now, I'm going to take a look at some of the super chats. I see some of you folks are chiming in here. Right now, we are on standby. We are waiting for President Trump. He's coming on out here any minute. I'll take a look at this. Fred says, reading the Bible's great, but what are you getting out of it is what is important. You know what? I haven't even gotten to the Jesus part. Frankly, I have never, as things currently stand. Oh, here we go. Hold that thought.
Thank you very much.
I'm Old Testament right now.
Very exciting what we're doing. I want to thank everybody for being here, and I want to thank this group of people. They're incredible people. We just had a call, as you know, with President Putin. I thought it was a very good call, so we'll talk about it maybe later. But it went very well. We're here today to announce a historic victory for American women, mothers, and families. With the actions I will outline this afternoon will dramatically slash the cost of IVF and the treatment and many of the most common fertility drugs for countless millions of Americans. Prices are going way down, way down. I want to thank Libby Horn, who is the Senior Vice President of Fertility of EMD Serrano. So I want to thank you. Let's see here. That's what I thought. I thought it was you. Thank you, Libby, very much. And let me also thank the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., whose wife destroyed the people on The View yesterday. I have to say that. I'm not going to ever get into an argument with her.
Thank you, Bob.
And you've decided. You learned that a long time ago, right? She did a great job, actually. Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thank you, Howard. Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez de Rima. Thanks, Lori. Howard, thanks. CMS Administrator, Dr. Mehmet Oz, who's a fantastic guy, and he's done really well. FDA Commissioner Marty McCary. Thank you, Marty. Senator Katie Britt, who got me started with this whole thing when she called up to say there was a bad ruling by a judge, right? We got to do something, sir, and we did it very quickly. Probably in 24 hours it was done. Congressman Richard Hudson, a great guy, and his wife Renee. Richard, hi, Richard. And Advocate Samantha Bush, who's a very respected person. For years, American couples struggling with infertility have faced crushing costs in their quest to start a family, and IVF is among the most expensive treatments of all. A single round of IVF in the United States can cost up to $25,000, can actually go a lot higher than that. And many couples require multiple rounds for a successful pregnancy. A major reason for these high prices is the excessive cost of the drugs involved. The number one fertility drug used in IVF is currently 700% more expensive in the United States than the rest of the world. And you know, we're ending all of that. It's called favored nations, and we're ending it, and we're ending it pretty fast. Nobody thought we'd be able to do it, and we've done it. Drugs are going to come down. Drug prices are coming down 400%, 200%, 600%, numbers that nobody's ever seen before. Great for Medicare, Medicaid, even Social Security. Great for everything, I think, Dr. Oz. So it's something that's, to me, it's very exciting. I'm bugging him and Bobby all the time. How are we doing with that? And we're doing really good, Bobby. Right? It's really going good. Other countries are agreeing to it, because if they don't, we put tariffs on them, and then they agree. So it's amazing. It's amazing how that worked out. But as an example, in London, you'd buy a certain drug for $130, and even less than that, I guess, $88 as of a count a month ago. And in New York, you pay $1,300 for the same thing. So now we're going to be paying, instead of $1,300, you'll be paying about $150. Wow. And they'll be paying $150 too. We're going to pay the same thing. Favored nations. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And we've been ripped off by the whole world for a long period of time. One of the most popular fertility drug regimens costs over $5,000 per cycle, as an example. Wow. Largely as a result of these unsustainable prices, 70% of the employers do not offer insurance that covers IVF. Therefore, most couples with fertility challenges are paying these costs entirely out of their own pockets, which is not really possible to do. Oh, look who we have. Look at that, the great Maria Bartiromo. I didn't know, did you get put into the regular pool pack? That's very good. Yeah, that's good. Nice to see you. I'm doing an interview with her in a little while. In the Trump administration, we want to make it easier for all couples to have babies, raise children, and start the families they've always dreamed about. That's why today I'm pleased to announce that after extensive negotiations, EMD Serono, the largest fertility drug manufacturer in the world, has agreed to provide massive discounts to all fertility drugs they sell in the United States, including the most popular drug of all, the IVF drug Gonal-F. So it's Gonal-F. Is that a proper pronunciation?
Very
Close
well
enough,
done.
right?
Very well done.
Gonal-F.
Gonal-F.
As part of this agreement, EMD Serono will list their fertility drugs online at trumprx.gov at very, very heavily reduced prices that you won't even believe. And ultimately, that's because of the favored nations. In addition, the FDA will be working with the company to expedite review and approval of another common fertility IVF drug, and currently it's selling in Europe. It's Pergoveris. And that's a sounding nice name. Pergoveris. Why can't you name them nice, simple names? Nice, easy names. It doesn't matter. If it works, that's all we care about, right? Upon approval, this drug would directly compete against a much more expensive option that currently has a monopoly in the American market, and this will bring down costs very significantly. And the other one's going to have to come down also. Finally, EMD Serono has agreed that all future drugs and everything that it develops and sells in the United States will be offset at most favored nation prices. I've been after this for a long time.
That's big.
And we started the process in the last administration, and then we had a little thing called COVID that came up. We had to focus on that, did a good job on that too. And they'll bring a significant portion of their drug manufacturing back to the United States. So they're going to bring it largely back into the United States, and that's for a lot of reasons, but primarily because of the election result, November 5th, and maybe most importantly because of the tariffs, because if they do it here, there are no tariffs. So we're going to be very close. I think by the end of this year, we're going to be very close to $20 trillion in investment. As an example, the Biden administration had less than $1 trillion, substantially less than $1 trillion for 4 years, Maria. Can you imagine? 4 years, less than one. We're going to break $20 trillion of investment, and we're already over $17 trillion, and that's in 8 months. Can you believe that? And he was at less than $1 trillion. And in addition to that, he had open borders, allowing millions of people to pour in. What an administration that was. Worst president in history, by far. As a result of these actions, the per-cycle cost of drugs used in IVF will fall by an estimated 73% for American consumers, and the numbers are going to actually be very substantially higher as time goes by when it really kicks in. For most of, I mean, think of those numbers. You know, I told the story last time because we were with Pfizer, and Pfizer's doing something very similar. But I told them that my first term, I was so proud of myself because I was the first president in 28 years where drug prices went down for the year. And you know what they went down? 1/8 of 1%. But I was so 1/8 of 1%. Now I'm getting them down, Maria, 500, 600, 800%. In some cases, even more than that. It's hard to believe. But I was proud. I said, oh, wow, I'm the first one. 1/8 of 1%. And I was proud of that. Now I realized, and I called a news conference. Some of you were at that news conference, actually. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. We've gone down by 1/8 of 1%. And now we're going down 500, 600, 700, 800%, Richard. So it's really something. For most administrations and all of the people involved in this kind of thing, this action would be a crowning achievement of their agenda for fertility health. But for us, it's really just the beginning. It's just a start. It's one of many things we're doing. Today, we're also taking historic steps to vastly expand access to insurance coverage for fertility care, including IVF, something that as you know, was not covered. Effective immediately, for the first time ever, we will make it legal for companies to offer supplemental insurance plans specifically for fertility. It's never been done before. We're signing it in today with what we signed. Americans will be able to opt in to specialized coverage just as they get vision and dental insurance. They're going to get fertility insurance for the first time. So I don't know. I don't know how well these things are covered. I see the Democrats like to take credit for all of the things we do. We do the things and they take the credit. But I figure if you do enough of these, eventually people are going to figure it out. The Democrats have done nothing. This will make all fertility care, including IVF, far more affordable and accessible. And by providing coverage at every step of the way, it will reduce the number of people who ultimately need to resort to IVF because couples will be able to identify and address problems early. The result will be healthier pregnancies, healthier babies, and many more beautiful American children. It's a big factor. It's a big deal. I'm asking all employers to make these new fertility benefit options available to their employees immediately. The initiatives I've just announced are the boldest and most significant actions ever taken by any president to bring the miracle of life into more American homes. And I will say Katie was great. As you know, she's a great senator from Alabama. She's the first one that told me about this. I had not known too much about it, and we worked very rapidly together, didn't we, though?
Mr. President, you saved
We had
the day.
everything passed, and Alabama then took care of it and passed it. Within a week, everything was done. Really, it was something. So I want to thank Katie Britt. There's no deeper happiness and joy of raising children, and now millions of Americans struggling with infertility will have a new chance to share the greatest experience of them all. So I'd like to thank all of the people that are here, and I think we'll start with Dr. Oz and Ms. Horn. We'll go through the list and we'll listen. And yesterday I did this, and I stood for about an hour and a half as people spoke. And I said, this time I'm sitting right there, and I'm going to watch you. I stood for an hour and a half like this. I said, you got to be kidding. Here we go. It was one after another, and it was wonderful listening to them. But I said, if I have to do this every day, Bobby, should I stand or sit? Thank you, Bobby. Please, Dr. Oz.
Okay.
Here we go.
Mr. President, I'm going to jump in here real quick. I want to start by thanking President Trump. Sir, from the very first phone call we ever had, your support was strong. It was steadfast. It was unwavering. And because of you, millions of Americans are going to have a greater opportunity to bring the greatest gift, in my opinion, life into this world. Your support, your administration's support, it's a game changer. All of us here today are aligned. This is a celebration of life. It's a celebration of parents. It's a celebration of families. And it's a celebration for those people who want to one day be parents themselves. I think every parent can attest, and I certainly do myself, that the greatest gift that God has ever given me is the ability to be a mom. We want more people to have that opportunity. We want to make that easier and more affordable. IVF is what makes the difference for so many families that are facing infertility. So you've seen the numbers. It's either 1 in 8 couples, or some people say as much as 1 in 6, are actually experiencing issues with fertility. It's 9% of males and at least 11% of females that are facing these challenges as they work to build their family. The recommendations today that President Trump has set forth are going to expand IVF coverage to nearly 1 million more families, and they're going to drive down cost significantly. Mr. President, this is the most pro-IVF thing that any president in the history of the United States of America has done. And Mr. President, it's your leadership. You are the reason why the Republican Party is now the party of parents. We are the party of families. This is why when Senator Cruz and I worked last year, we got every single Republican senator to sign on and say that they supported nationwide access to IVF. And just for the record, IVF is legal and accessible in all 50 states. And President Trump taking this action today to lower cost, to bring these issues to the forefront, and to enact solutions for people working to start their families. I want you to know it's significant and there's more to come. But this isn't the only thing that you've done to prove that we're the party of parents and we're the party of families. If you look at the working family tax cut, guys, he made sure that hard-working parents were front and center in that legislation. You know, whether it was child tax credits being expanded and made permanent, whether it was Trump accounts that are going to change the game for so many parents, or whether it was childcare. So for decades, we have heard Democrats talk about childcare. President Trump actually took action on the affordability and accessibility of childcare. We know that 1 in 4 families say that they hesitate to have more children because of the cost and because of childcare cost. For the first time, this man actually took steps to change the dynamics for hardworking parents. So of the 3 tax credits that he reformed and the working families tax cuts, 2 of them had not been touched in 2 decades, and 1 of them had not been touched since 1986. So President Reagan was in office the last time anybody did anything about it. But you changed the game on that, and I was proud to lead that effort in the Senate. And so on behalf of moms and dads, on behalf of grandparents and sisters and aunts and uncles and brothers and people who are looking to expand their family, we say thank you. Thank you for all you do to support families in this country and make a healthier environment and an easier one for us to grow the very most important thing. God bless.
So nice. Thank you.
There you have it.
So let's set the stage. To put it in perspective, 2 weeks ago, as President Trump alluded, a leading U.S. drug manufacturer came into this room and agreed to do something none of us thought was possible. A most favored nation agreement with numbers, again, inconceivable. Last week, a company from Europe, a global leader in the pharmaceutical sector, came to this office, made the same kind of commitment for most favored nation pricing, again, because the president insisted on it and was persistent, and he alluded to the fact that he was calling Secretary Kennedy and me quite a bit. He definitely was, with great insights into the process and would not hold back. But I think what you're seeing today is something even larger. It's larger because we're now showing that MFN is a tool that can get other initiatives going as well. We are revealing perhaps the most important MFN opportunity at all, because it's about procreation. It's about babies. It turns out that MFN is a tool for a lot of things, and it goes without saying that you get the drug pricing down, but lots of other business necessities become possible when that occurs. So Secretary Kennedy and I, who's a wonderful leader, talk frequently about family. I think the reason he's a great leader and president as well is because they have large families and they take pride in the joy that it gives us. But many families, as Senator Britt alluded, do not have the ability to have children. But it turns out that it's about 1 in 3 families, a much higher number, that don't have the number of babies they desire. They're under-babied. So this president committed to address that during the campaign, and he is delivering on that today in a way I don't think anyone thought was possible. We are opening the door with MFN pricing and tariffs that support it, Secretary Lutnick, with a new approach to make reproductive medicine more affordable for Americans. Now, I know what you're all thinking, and you're probably right. There are going to be a lot of Trump babies. I think that's probably a good thing. But it turns out the fundamental creative force in society is about making babies. It's about creating. And this country, the one that President Trump is leading so beautifully, has been a country of abundance, not scarcity. To have abundance, you have to address the fact that we had 3.6 million babies last year, which is beautiful, 3.6 million miracles. That's 500,000 less babies than we would ideally have had, even to replace our current population. Building on the success of the last 2 weeks, our team, led by the head of Medicare, Chris Klump, who's standing over there, and Ina Hernandez, have negotiated a spectacular MFN deal to reduce the cost of IVF drug prices by $2,200 a cycle. That's nearly half of the price that it had been. The most prescribed drug in this category in America, made by MD Serrano, is described over here. And you'll notice, President Trump, these are discounted from $242 to $10. I don't know what the math is on that. We can't even calculate it. It's a lot. It's too high to calculate without a more studied approach. But I give it up there because that number of $10 will apply for every American who earns less than $115,000 a year. That's 70% of the American people. The remaining folks who are able to make more will have to pay a tiny bit more, but it's still most favored nation pricing, no different from what the Europeans are willing to pay. Now, to make this deal happen, Chris and Inma had to do something special. They had to actually not just get the drug price down, but get the middlemen to let it go as well. And Mr. President, we've met with the middlemen in the past. They're now joining the MFN movement. I want to thank Express Scripts Freedom Pharmacy and then CVS's Specialty Pharmacy because they were willing to stand up and do the right thing for the American people by answering the president's call and slashing their prices. Now, this announcement also encompasses a remarkable move from Marty Makary. And Marty Makary is, of course, the leader of the FDA, but he has ongoing efforts to accelerate their approval of innovative medicines that will further reduce the price and make this whole process more seamless for the American people. Now, you're about to hear about a spectacular new program that's been alluded to. But one of the architects of that program, Heidi Overton, Deputy Director of the White House Domestic Policy Council, is going to take us through the exciting details of what this is going to offer for the American people, especially those who are in the workforce. But first, we think you should hear from Libby Horn. Libby is EMD Serrano's head of fertility. She brings both professional expertise and a personal connection to this work. She has 3 beautiful daughters, and she has personally benefited from reproductive medicine that has shaped her family, and her company made today's spectacular MFN pricing possible. Libby.
Thank you, Dr. Oz. Thank you, Mr. President. Today, we gather on this national stage to celebrate a historic step forward in expanding access to fertility treatments for those who need it most. Mr. President, thanks to your leadership and the tireless efforts of your team,
thank you, Rachel.
This is a momentous day.
Thank you very much, by the way.
For Americans who struggle but remain hopeful to build their families. Infertility is on the rise in our country. 1 in 8 couples face infertility. This isn't just a number, it's real lives, dreams, and aspirations of hardworking Americans. The teacher who goes to school each day, surrounded by children, but aching for children of her own. The firefighter who puts his life on the line, but can't create the life he wants at home. The consequences of these challenges can take significant tolls. Some of you watching today have given up or are frustrated because access to IVF treatments has been out of reach. That's why expanding access to IVF has been an issue of great importance to the president. He made this clear in his executive order declaring the administration's goal of supporting American families by enabling access and eliminating barriers to IVF. Today, EMD Serrano is proud to help President Trump deliver on his promise to you. Thanks to the president's leadership, EMD Serrano has worked alongside distributors and other partners to help more families have access to services and innovations that are consistent with other countries. Through our partnership with the administration, we are proud to announce that Americans will have access to our leading IVF therapies for an 84% discount off list prices. That's amazing.
Wow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you for making this possible.
That is big.
Fantastic.
For more than 40 years, EMD Serrano has been a global leader in fertility. Our science was instrumental in the birth of the first IVF baby in the US, and we've helped to bring more than 6 million babies into the world since then. Our purpose is to help create, improve, and prolong life. That means discovering more medicines and bringing them to patients faster. FDA Commissioner Makary has made it a priority to ensure that Americans have access to the world's most innovative treatments as quickly as possible. To that end, EMD Serono is filing a new IVF therapy called Pergoveris for review under the FDA Commissioner's National Priority Voucher Program. If approved, Pergoveris would combine two key reproductive hormones in synergy designed to mimic reproductive physiology. This therapeutic option could mean fewer injections, fewer copays, and lower self-pay cost, all of which make a real difference in the IVF patient experience. In closing, on behalf of EMD Serono, I want to send my heartfelt thanks to President Trump and the entire administration for their leadership and vision in this critical area of healthcare. Together, we will make a difference in the lives of countless families across this nation and uphold our long-standing legacy of creating life. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. President, thank you for your bold leadership that's allowed our teams to go far beyond what anyone thought was possible. On behalf of the Domestic Policy Council and Vince Haley here, we would like to also thank all the agency partners and the stakeholders that we worked with to get to the solution today that will make a real impact for families. Specifically, today's historic actions, 4 in total that you see, are made possible by coordination of all of the White House team and 7 agencies, many of who are represented here, and their teams that have worked tirelessly. As you described, Mr. President, the current system isn't working. 7 in 10 Americans don't have coverage to IVF. They face high costs and uncertain outcomes. And there's intense demand for fertility benefits. 65% of Americans say that they would leave their current job just because of fertility benefits. So you asked us to lower costs and to fix the broken incentives in healthcare. In addition to lowering the cost of drugs by 73% or $2,200 per cycle, which if you missed it, most people require 2 or 3 cycles. So that's significant savings for families.
That's a lot of money.
I'm also going to briefly outline the new solution for coverage. This is a new fertility benefit option that employers can immediately offer to their employees starting today. This afternoon, the Departments of Labor, Health and Human Services, and Treasury will be releasing guidance that, for the first time, creates a legal pathway for employers to offer fertility benefit packages to people that need them, similar to how dental, vision, and life insurance are currently offered. This will be followed up by a regulation. These benefits can address the continuum of fertility needs, from the root causes of IVF, which Secretary Kennedy is working on very hard at HHS, to it'll be a coordinated package that does not exist in traditional health insurance today. It'll make it easier for employers, including small and mid-sized employers, to compete for talented employees. Currently, many small businesses cannot afford to offer fertility benefits at all. This is making it possible for them to offer benefits the same way that large companies like Amazon and others offer benefits. This is a pro-family benefit expansion that will transform clinical outcomes by addressing fragmented coverage and care. I'm a physician by training, and it's very important that we have high-quality care. Fertility benefit companies are poised to offer packages that have reported so far roughly 25% higher live birth rates for those that seek care compared to those that don't have such benefits. They also report fewer cycles to achieve pregnancy, improved natural pregnancy rates through better care before you need IVF, and reduced chance of miscarriages, a 21% reduction in miscarriage rate. Leading physicians in the field have also relayed that these types of benefits significantly improve the patient and doctor experience, allowing both to focus on care rather than navigating the bureaucracy. These impacts are very personal. Here with us today are my good friends, Congressman Richard Hudson of North Carolina and his wife, Renee Hudson. Both have worked in public service for years, including Renee for all 4 years of your past administration, Mr. President, and they struggled with infertility. Today they have a beautiful son who's their pride and joy. He's an amazing boy. But they also suffered multiple losses throughout their fertility journey, something that is very common. Unfortunately, too many people go through the hard, arduous process of IVF and still result in a miscarriage. So today, your option is not only saving money, it's going to improve the quality of care significantly. This new benefit option simultaneously represents the greatest opportunity to expand coverage of IVF that the federal government has ever taken, while also improving the care delivered. Additionally, and very importantly, it gives employers maximum flexibility to design benefits that are consistent with their values. Put simply, this new fertility benefit option means lower costs and more healthy babies. So today, this announcement, we are realigning the industry towards the simple metric of more healthy babies at lower costs. I would now like to introduce Samantha Bush, the wife of NASCAR driver Kyle Busch, who's been a leading advocate for IVF access and affordability after your own infertility journey. Thank you, Mr. President.
We're talking IVF.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
My husband, Kyle, and I battled infertility for over a decade before being blessed with our 2 beautiful children, Brexton, who's 10, and our daughter, Lennox, who's now 3. But our journey was long and painful. We faced 6 rounds of IVF, multiple miscarriages, multiple failed cycles, and countless moments of heartbreak. We faced the roller coaster of hope and devastation that so many families know all too well. Through it all, we held on to faith, each other, and the belief that somehow, someday, God would turn our pain into purpose. We also saw firsthand the staggering financial burden that comes with infertility treatments. Sitting in the waiting room of our fertility clinic, we overheard another couple quietly say that money was the only thing standing in their way of having their family. In that moment, Kyle and I looked at each other, and we knew God was planting a seed in our hearts, a calling to take action. In 2015, that calling became the Bundle of Joy Fund, a nonprofit foundation dedicated to providing financial assistance to couples struggling with infertility. What began as a small act of faith has now grown into something far greater than we could have ever imagined. To date, we've granted over $2 million directly to individuals, helping them pay for their IVF treatments, and we've celebrated the birth of 108 beautiful babies through our fund. Thank you.
Good for them.
Each baby is a living, breathing testament to hope, community, and God's grace. For every tear we cried, for every shot we gave, every doctor's appointment that ended in disappointment, Kyle and I knew there had to be a greater reason. This was God's plan for us, to use our journey to advocate, empower, and be the voice to those battling in silence. Over the past 12 years, we've worked hard to raise awareness, erase stigma, and bring hope to the 1 in 6 couples that will face infertility. Infertility can be incredibly isolating. It can leave you questioning your faith, your body, and your future. But it can also reveal a strength that you never knew you had inside of you. It can deepen love, it can bring couples closer together, and it unites people through a shared struggle. Our goal has always been to show others that they are not alone, that there is a powerful community of infertility warriors behind them. Today, seeing President Trump acknowledge infertility on a national stage is profoundly moving. It's no longer a whispered conversation behind closed doors. It is a recognized, validated struggle that so many families have to endure. His leadership reminds us that those in positions of power can make real and lasting changes for generations to come. Their willingness to bring this issue forward shows that they not only hear our community, but they truly care about us. Thank you, Mr. President, and to your family, for shining a light on infertility and for standing by couples like Kyle and I, for standing by couples who only want to hear the words mommy and daddy, who want to watch our children open their Christmas presents on Christmas morning, who want to see the world anew through the joy in their kids' eyes. Your acknowledgement honors the power of family, faith, and love, the very values that make America the greatest country in the world. It's proof that when promises are made and promises are kept, lives are changed forever. Thank you, Mr. President.
We're going to talk about that here in a minute. There's a lot to talk about here, actually.
Anybody else? Howard, would you like to say a couple of words?
You said
I was
nope.
hoping you would say that. Thank you very much. Bobby, come on up for a second. What a job you're doing. Yeah, say a few words, Bobby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your vision, your commitment to our country. When my uncle was president, the fertility rate in this country was 3.5%. Today, it is 1.6%. The replacement rate, in other words, the amount of fertility that you need in order to keep your population even, is 2.1%. We are below replacement right now. That is a national security threat to our country. And we know why this is happening. And President Trump is addressing the root causes through his MAHA agenda of reducing endocrine disruptors, the exposure to chemicals that decrease fertility. Today, the average teenager in this country has 50% of the sperm count, 50% of the testosterone as a 65-year-old man. Our girls are hitting puberty 6 years earlier. And that's bad, but also our parents aren't having children. Parents who want to have children do not have access. I have 7 children. I feel that God has blessed me with that, and I can't imagine how different my life would be if I did not have that blessing.
7.
I want to point out also that this morning Harvard University released a study that showed that the obesity rates have now climbed over 70%. And this, again, is for the same reason we're flooding our kids. We're poisoning mass poisoning a generation of kids with chemicals. President Trump has instructed us to stop these problems at the root cause. But he's also recognized that there are people who are injured, people who are not living their life to the fullest, and he's addressing that. Last week, we made GLP drugs available at Most Favored Nation. And this week, it's IVF. I want to thank you so much for that, Mr. President. I saw on an airplane the other day, you said that you didn't believe that you were going to get to heaven. You're doing God's work here. You've made peace in the Middle East, which is beyond anybody's imagination. And now you're giving millions of Americans a chance to have babies. And you're doing this while the government is locked down by the Democrats. But this administration has not stopped working for the American people. And that's because of your energy, your commitment, your vision, and I want to thank you for allowing me to be part of it.
And he's doing a great job. And by the way, Kyle is fantastic. So he's got a lot of courage. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't care. Howard, you and I would not be good at that. Right? We'd go about 30 miles an hour, but we'd be safe. Anyway, so thank you very much. Any questions, please?
Mr. President. You posted earlier.
Yeah, please.
Mr. President, this is a major campaign promise that you made. It was a big
It is.
topic towards the end of the election. We're delivering on that again. Actually, I had a question for Secretary Kennedy or Dr. Heidi. Dr. Heidi, you said something that I thought was really important. You talked about how this coverage option, this benefit option, gives companies the maximum flexibility to design benefits consistent to their values. I was wondering if either you or the President could expand on that and talk about why that's an important thing to understand about this program.
Yes. Thank you. It's a great question. We think that employers are best situated to know what them and their employees want to contribute to in relation to their benefits. So employers are going to be able to decide how to cover the root causes of infertility, things like obesity, metabolic health, and other things that are impacting infertility. And also, if they want to encourage their employees to see certain types of doctors, and they can work with providers that are identifying the highest quality fertility providers. And so it puts them in the driver's seat, and our view is that we want employers to be the ones that can make those decisions, not the government. Thank you.
All right. That's a good answer. That was a very good answer. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Mr. President, previously you did not seem to be bothered regarding Hamas cracking down on what you called gangs. Actually,
what?
A couple of gangs. And today you issued a threat against Hamas on Truth Social. What has changed?
And what was said? Go ahead.
You said if they continue keep killing innocents in Gaza, that if that continues, the United States will
I know,
go
I
after
issued a
them.
strong statement, that's right.
But they used to be gangs, and now you're saying innocence. What made you think they're innocents now?
Well, I'm looking at what's happening, and that wasn't the deal that was made, and we'll see what happens. It's calmed down. It's a tough neighborhood, we know that.
Mainstream media.
We have a commitment from them, and I assume they're going to honor that commitment. I hope they do. And I understand they brought back some additional bodies today. It's a rough deal when you think of it, right? Very rough. And we have our hostages back completely. We were very lucky with that. But it's a tough situation. They brought back bodies today, as you probably know. But they also said they're going to behave. We're going to find out if they behave. If they behave, good. If they don't behave, we'll take care of it. Yeah, please.
Following up on that, when you
I didn't
said
say you. Your CNN fake news. Go ahead.
You said in your post that if they kept killing people in Gaza, we would have no choice but to go in and kill them. So do you mean U.S. forces would go in and take out?
No, I didn't say who would go in, but somebody will go in. It's not going to be us. We won't have to. There are people very close, very nearby that will go in. They'll do the trick very easily, but under our auspices.
Could I follow up? You also posted about your call with President Putin today, and you spoke about the meeting in Hungary with him. Do you have a timeline or a date set for when?
Yeah, I would say within 2 weeks or so, pretty quick. Marco Rubio is going to be meeting with his counterpart, as you know, Lavrov, and they'll be meeting pretty soon. They're going to set up a time and a place very shortly. Maybe it's already set up. They've already spoken. And I thought it was a very good phone call. I thought very productive. But I'll be meeting with President Putin, and we'll make a determination. Tomorrow I'm meeting with President Zelensky, and I'll be telling him about the call. I mean, we have a problem. They don't get along too well, those two, and it's sometimes tough to have meetings, so we may do something where we're separate but equal. We'll meet and talk parties, but this is a terrible relationship the two of them have, and it's one of those things. I've seen things that nobody would believe, but this is one of them. So we're going to be meeting in Hungary. Viktor Orban is going to be hosting, and it's really something that's time. Last week, over 7,000 people were killed. That's ridiculous. And you know, it doesn't affect our country. We're not losing people. We're not losing Bobby. We're not losing Americans, but they're losing Russians, Ukrainians, mostly soldiers, for the most part, soldiers. And we hope we're going to get it stopped. I thought this would be, because of my relationship with President Putin, I thought this would be very quick. And it's turned out to be, who would think I did Middle East before I did this? We did a total of 8 now, 7 and now 8.
Yep.
And we're going to make this number 9.
Yeah, please. So you said you posted that there was great progress. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Was it a shift in Putin's tone? Was it something new he told you? Did he give you any message to give?
You're talking about the whole
President Zelensky tomorrow.
It just seems to me that, look, it's only a field. That's all I've done in my whole life. I've made deals. I know about deals. I do it well. I don't think any president's ever ended a war, frankly. One war, I did 8 of them, Maria, right? And but I don't know, did Bush ever end? Do you think Biden ended a war? Biden started wars because he was stupid. But do you think Biden ended any wars? No, I don't know of anybody that ended wars. I ended 8 of them, and it's going to be 9. I think we're going to have this one done, hopefully soon. But I'll be meeting him probably over the next 2 weeks. First, Marco is going to be meeting, and the vice president, as you know, is very much involved. The whole team is involved. Steve Witkoff will be involved. Yeah, please.
What did you tell them about the Tomahawks? Did you discuss the Tomahawk missiles? Did you discuss?
Well, we talked about it a little bit. Didn't say much, but I do say to you, we need Tomahawks for the United States of America too. We have a lot of them, but we need them. I mean, we can't deplete for our country. So they're very vital. They're very powerful. They're very accurate. They're very good, but we need them too. So. I don't know what we can do about that.
Why do you think a second meeting with Putin? Why do you think a second meeting with Putin now will yield different results?
Well, I think Alaska actually set a stage, and That wasn't very long ago, but it set a stage. You have to understand, I came into this situation. I didn't start this war. This is a Biden deal. And I came into it, and it was a mess. It could have led to World War III. In my opinion, this could have led to World War III. That won't happen, but it could have. So I came in, this war was raging. When I left, this wasn't even a thought. For 4 years, nobody talked about it. I spoke to President Putin about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but there was never going to be doing anything like this. And this all went because of some really bad decisions that were made. And look what you have. You have millions of people dead. You have just a horrible, horrible situation. I'm doing it to save souls. That's all I'm doing it for. I'm not doing it for us. We have an ocean between us. I'm doing it also to help Europe. They want to have it ended, but they're unable to do it. I'm able to do it. So I think we'll be successful. We'll save a lot of lives. It should have been done. Should have never started. This would have never happened if the election weren't rigged. This would have never happened. But it did happen, and I'll get it stopped. Okay.
What's your message to pro-life conservatives?
Yeah, you mentioned a $1,300 drug at the top of this. Were you referring to the weight loss drugs?
Yeah, I was referring to Ozempic, or I was referring the fat loss drug.
So those are going to be $150 out of pocket
Yeah,
for
well,
Americans.
they'll be much lower. They'll be much lower. Yeah, go ahead, please.
We have not negotiated those yet. We're going to be rolling these out over time. The GOP category of drugs, which includes Ozempic, have not been negotiated yet.
What's the timeline for that?
But it will. It'll come down, like everyone else.
Okay. Any timeline on those negotiations?
No, but I think those are going to come down pretty fast, and we do have, I guess, some alternatives.
The president will be happy with the result, and until he is, we're not going to close those negotiations. Thank you.
Except it'll happen.
Got it.
Mr. President, what's your message to pro-life conservatives? Some pro-life conservatives have religious objections to IVF and are already critical of this policy. What's your message to them?
I don't know about the views of that. I'm just looking to do something because, pro-life, I think this is very pro-life. You can't get more pro-life than this. Please.
Mr. President, you've been talking about how this new benefit plan will also include root cause treatments for infertility. How will you make sure that those root cause treatments are equally accessible to IVF?
Well, I think we're going to be doing that. Would anybody like to talk about that subject?
I'll comment
Please.
on the rulemaking process. I think it's the determination, again, Secretary of Labor, the determination, the Department of Labor is issuing their intent today to open up the rulemaking process, again, for more flexibility. Anytime that you have a president who's leading when you can offer more access to health care at a lower rate is a benefit to the American people and to the end user, and that's exactly what he's doing. And so you heard before that through the Q&A guidance that was issued today with the other agencies, that will give guidance to our employers and the employees about what the flexibility of that is, and then again, opening that rulemaking process for further determination of the access that can be had, offered in those benefits for all different types of healthcare access is the goal of the Department of Labor.
Good answer.
Thank you.
I like this better. I just say, they can do better than me. Yeah, please.
President, do you think
Good
we
job,
could
Laura.
see-
You're doing a fantastic job. I shouldn't tell, I won't say it, I will not say that she was recommended by the Teamsters. Can you believe it? And she's turned out to be a gem, an absolute gem. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Mr. President,
John
Mr.
Bolton
President,
was just
do
indicted.
you think we could see your deal-making skills applied to the government shutdown anytime soon?
Well, look, all we want to do is just extend. We don't want anything. We just want to extend, live with the deal that they had. They want to spend $1.5 trillion on illegal immigrants, and they want to destroy health care for everyone else, and it's crazy. It's crazy. People that are here illegally, they want to spend $1.5 trillion. So we're just not going to do it. No, we have to take care of our health care. Now, we're doing that today, and we're doing it with, favored nations, the most favored nations. Your costs are going to be dropping greatly. And I'm really happy that it's at the beginning of my administration, because I did insulin and got it down to like $25, but it doesn't kick in. It didn't kick in for 2 years by statute, so it couldn't kick in. And I said, boy, I hope I win this election, because if I don't, somebody else is going to take credit for it, Bobby.
Exactly what
And
happened.
sure as can be,
Yep.
Biden said, he didn't even know what the hell was happening, and it was a hard thing for me to do. I got insulin way down. What was it before that? It was just massive. It was impossible to afford. And sure as can be, because it was statute, it couldn't have been earlier. I said, boy, this falls into the next administration. I better win. And all of a sudden, I watch this Biden taking credit for something that I did, and on other things too. We had a lot of things kick in. So the nice part about this is at the beginning of our administration, so I think we're going to see the fruits of our labor. And I hope on our other situation that we've talked so much about, autism, I hope we're going to see some very good results based on the recommendations that we made. And, you know, we have time to watch those results now.
John Bolton was just indicted by a grand jury in Maryland. Do you have a reaction to that?
I didn't know that. You told me for the first time, but I think he's, you know, a bad person. I think he's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad
crook.
guy. It's too bad, but it's the way it
reviewed the
goes.
case against him?
That's the way it goes, right? That's the way it goes. Will I what?
Have you reviewed the case against him?
No, I haven't. But I just think he's a bad person. Okay, anybody else?
What's the timeline for the IVF drug through the National Commissioner Priority Review Voucher? Dr. McCary?
What do you think, Doctor?
So, first of all, the National Priority Voucher Program says we're going to proactively at the FDA look for amazing treatments like this IVF treatment. We're going to reach out to the companies, and if it's in line with the president's national priorities, we're going to put those drugs at the front of the line and get a decision out in weeks instead of a year. And so today we announced 9 drugs that are going to be recipients. These are products where the manufacturing is going to be in the United States, or it's meeting a large unmet public health need, like a diabetes drug we announced today. Or it is a product where you're going to see an affordability phenomena because the prices are getting equalized in line with the president's most favored nation status goal.
Wow, that's good. Why didn't I have him speak? He was so, could have saved a lot of time, right? Thanks, Lonnie. I'm not surprised. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Chris. So Senate Majority Leader John Thune today said he'd like to proceed with the bill which would put sanctions on Russia. What's your thought on that?
Well, we're going to see. He doesn't know about the call yet. I'm going to speak to him later. And it was subject to what I wanted to do. And so we'll see what happens. We may have, this may be such a productive call that we're going to end up, we want to get peace. We want to stop the killing. 7,000 people a week. Can you believe it? We want to stop the killing. So I'm going to speak to him and the speaker, Mike Johnson. I'll speak to them a little bit later and I'll tell them about this. And we'll make the right determination. I'm not against anything. I'm just saying it may not be perfect timing. It could happen in a week or two, but it's at my option, as you know.
Right, but did President Putin try to dissuade you from selling Tomahawk missiles?
Well, of course. What do you think he's going to say? Please sell Tomahawks? Is he going to say, please sell those Tomahawks? I really appreciate it. I did actually say, would you mind if I gave a couple of thousand Tomahawks to your opposition? I did say that to him. I said it just that way. He didn't like the idea. He really didn't like the idea. No, I said it that way. You have to be a little bit lighthearted sometimes, but no, he doesn't want Tomahawk. Tomahawk is a vicious weapon. It's a vicious, offensive, incredibly destructive weapon. Nobody wants Tomahawk shot at them.
Specifically ask you not to provide Tomahawks?
So, wouldn't anybody? I mean, it's been in the news. Who wouldn't do that? CNN. Who wouldn't do that? You know, do you think he's going to say, I'd love to have Tomahawk sent my way? I don't think so. Maria, we have one of the great stars of television here, and she's an incredible person, and she's just an amazing woman who, she got it all right. She got the Russia hoax right. She got everything. Would you have a question?
Yes, Mr. President. I would ask you why this was so important to you, IVF, and why was autism so important to you? What are you trying to achieve?
Well, autism is like a whole different thing. When you look at, it was 1 in 20,000. Now it's 1 in 12. If you look, Bobby, we have different numbers, but 1 in 12, 1 in 28, 1 in 32. There's a couple of different numbers out there, but it's 1 in a very, very different number than it used to be. It used to be 1 in 20,000. And that was not that long ago, 20 years ago or so. And now they had something for boys, for babies, baby boys. It's 1 in 12. I heard 1 in 10, Bobby. I heard another one, you know, different lists. But when you think of that, it's not even sustainable, but there's something artificial. When that happens, that's not like a natural. And then you have certain groups of people that literally don't have autism, and they're not taking some of the things that we're taking. So we're working very hard. And on IVF, it's just that I have friends, including Katie, that called me and they told me the importance of it. I wasn't that familiar with it. Now I think I've sort of become the father ever since I heard. There was a bad decision in Alabama where a judge wanted all clinics to be immediately closed, right? And Katie called up and you said you were pretty strongly attacked by your friends that you didn't even know were involved with IVF, right?
You had people that had grandkids, people who had gone through IVF themselves, telling their story. And
Yeah.
saying there are people that cope out there.
Tell what you did when you heard from your friends. You said this was not, they almost became violent, right?
Yeah, I told him, I said, Mr. President, we need you. We need your voice in this conversation. We need the directive. We need the strong support because there are millions of people out there, moms and dads, wanting to bring life into the world. And you had people, the chilling effect that occurred across Alabama, there were people that were in the middle of that process that had been praying to have a child, and that was halted. And so the reality of that was very stark in our state. And so I was able to tell the president some of the stories of people, friends and grandparents and relatives that told me what they had experienced and also, what they were fearful of in the future. And the president very quickly acted, spoke with a strong voice, and really led the way. Obviously, we saw Democrats continue to fearmonger for the remainder of the year, trying to use it as an election issue when actually IVF is legal and accessible in all 50 states. And President Trump very clearly said where he was on this, and he said, I'm going to make sure that this is more accessible and that it is more affordable for families coast to coast. That's exactly what he did, but it's that real life, those real life stories, sir, that he responded to. And that's what people don't know about him. He cares. And when you tell him what American people are dealing with, he wants to do something about it. You have leaders and politicians that come before him that want to talk about things. President Trump wants to actually make things happen. That's exactly what he did here, and I'm so grateful, Mr. President.
Thank you, Katie, very much. Appreciate it. So we will go back to what we're doing. Working again with Marco and with JD and a few other people on the war, and we're doing a lot of other things also. The economy is unbelievable. It really is. It's been incredible. And I think one of the great numbers that I've ever heard, think of it, over $17 trillion being invested in our country. And when you think of, compare that to the last administration, but really compare it to any administration, compare it to any country. There's never been a country with anything like that. That's in a period of 8 months. And we've already broken every record possible. There's never anything even close. So we'll go back to all of that. Prices are down. Oil is down. We're down $58 a barrel. We're going to be hitting $2 for gasoline. I think we're going to be at $2. And the previous administration, they were at $4 and $5. They were going up much higher. And then they swung back into my things, but they didn't swing back properly. They were very, very late. They really blew it. We had it really going in the right direction. They came and took everything out. And it's incredible. I'll never forget. They lost control of the price of gasoline, of oil. They totally lost control, Howard. And then they went back immediately. Well, let's go back to Trump. But by that time, it was too late. And they didn't go back because the leases and everything else, they didn't do what they had to do. They really didn't know how to. But we could be hitting close to $2 a gallon. I'd love to break it if we could, but we could be. That would be. And huge. When that comes down, everything else has been coming down. Groceries are down. The price of things are down. And honestly, the simplicity is if you can get oil down, it's such a big category, everything follows. So just about everything follows. And we are working on beef, and I think we have a deal on beef that's going to bring the price of beef. That would be the one product that we would say is a little bit higher than we want it, maybe higher than we want it, and that's going to be coming down pretty soon too. We did something, we worked our magic. But groceries are down, and energy is down, electricity is way down. We have the prices coming down for people. They were abused for 4 years by the Biden administration. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you soon. Thank you. Thank you.
Changes to the IRS.
Thank you, press. Go.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, before anybody goes anywhere, I want to say first off, make sure to subscribe and follow to today's broadcast. Why don't we break some of this down? Now, first off, I did see early on, I saw some people saying, this isn't a big deal. You know, I think for most people, maybe for a lot of people in the country, conversations related to IVF is admittedly not a big deal. But for the people that it is a big deal for, it is a big deal. Right? If you're somebody that has struggled with fertility issues, you're a family trying to have kids and you can't, a lot of problems, it is a big deal. So if it's a big deal for you, it is a big deal. And I think it's important. I think it's good that President Trump is talking about this because nobody else really is. There's something I wanted to show you folks here. And actually, RFK Jr. kind of briefly touched upon this, but I want to put a chart, a visual up in front of you real quick. This is the total fertility rate in the United States from 1800 to 2020. So we don't have this data up to 2025, but it has gone down. I can tell you it's gone down, continue to go down. So if you rewind back all the way to the year 1800, every woman in the country was on average having 7 kids. On average, every woman in the country, adult woman, was having 7 kids. It went down as time went on, Industrial Revolution and its consequences. You go down here to 1940, it's wartime. Fertility rates are at an all-time low. Every woman in the country is having on average 2, just slightly over 2. The war is over. We win the war. It's over. The boys come back home. Everybody's celebrating. It's an era of prosperity in the United States. It's the 50s. It's the 60s. And fertility skyrockets. These are your baby boomers. This is the baby boom right here. And every woman in the country on average peaks at probably having around 3.5, maybe 3.6 kids per woman. In the mid-1960s, what happens? Well, this is when women really start getting involved in the workforce. This is an advent in medical technology, women's birth control. The birth control pill hits the marketplace. A lot of women, they say, I want to go to work. I don't want to be a stay-at-home wife. I want to go to work and have a job, and I'm going to take the birth control pill. It's the sexual revolution. I want to have sex with 10 guys, and I don't want to get pregnant. I'm a liberated woman. I want to do what I want, and I'm going to have a job. And so anyway, as you can see, birth rates absolutely plummet down into the 1980s. There's a little bit of a rebound back up. In 2010, it starts tanking down. And really, we are at an all-time historic low. This cuts off at 2020 here. If you can see that, cuts off at 2020. It actually gets even worse into modern day, into 2025. And so here's my opinion. By the way, the only demographic in America that has a reproduction rate, this is the nation as a whole. If you break it down racially, if we might do that, if you'll bear with me, the only demographic here in the country that has a below replacement rate, which is 2.1, every woman in the country has to have 2.1 kids on average if you divide it all out in order for the country to stay at the same population. Well, if you break it down racially, Black Americans are having kids above replacement rate. The Black population is growing. The Hispanic or Latin American population in this country is growing. The Asian population, the Jewish population, every population, if you break it down ethnically or demographically, is actually growing. It is only white people. It is white Americans, the only demographic in the country that is shrinking for a multitude of reasons. One of the reasons being is that white people just aren't really having kids. And so here's my deal. Anything that, one, boosts the U.S. population, especially the U.S. white population, I think that's a good thing. I'm not going to complain about it. And so if President Trump wants to sort of, knock down the pricing of IVF to help families, white families, start having kids, I think that's probably a good thing as far as I'm concerned. I was going to pull up an image, but I don't even know what I wanted to show you guys here. But anyway, I think it's not a bad thing. I'm for that. You can understand there are a lot of issues in the country that are messing with people's fertility. There's all these chemicals in the food, in the water, in the air, messing with people's hormonal balance and messing with people's endocrine systems, their hormonal systems. Testosterone levels are tanking out. They said young women are entering puberty 6 years earlier than normally. Huh? What does that mean? Are young girls going through puberty at like 9 years old? What is going on here? That seems just insane. Anyway, the point is anything that gets American families to be having kids again, I think it's probably a good thing. I think it's a good thing. There are a lot of people that want to have kids and they can't for reasons that are beyond their control. You're talking about the plastics. The microplastics are leaching phyto or xenoestrogens into the water. Men especially having their hormonal systems, all messed up. So you guys know me. I'm a little bit of a traditionalist here. I think the traditional family unit, father, wife, stay-at-home wife with a bunch of kids, I think that's the best thing in the world. I think, listen, it was actually Tucker Carlson that said this. I was watching one of his podcasts like a year ago, and he said something. I said, yeah, that's pretty true. Tucker Carlson, he said, really, the fundamental measure of whether or not you have a good, healthy, productive society or a degenerate, downtrodden, decaying society is the degree to which that society accommodates families. The degree to which a society makes it easy to get married and have a traditional life and pump out a bunch of kids and take care of those kids, and the kids are safe and secure and taken care of. They're not worried about violence. You have a safe, cohesive family environment in your nation. That really, and I agree, that is the degree to which a nation should be measured. Is it a safe nation, a safe society to raise kids and be a healthy family? And I think this is one step towards solving that problem. I saw this comment in the chat. Where was it? Sick of the clickbait, Matt. Hey, listen, Paul. Hey, Paul. I'm going to call you out directly, Paul. Just because you personally, as one person, as one individual, do not care about IVF does not mean that it's not a big deal. President Trump seemed to think this was a big deal, this IVF situation, because he scheduled an emergency White House meeting for it to talk about it. So who should I trust? You, Paul, in the chat, who doesn't care about it, or my president, President Trump? I care about it. I think a lot of other people care about it, Paul. President Trump seems to care about it. He's the one that scheduled the meeting, Paul. So I would stuff it. I'd put a sock in it, Paul. I think it is a big deal. Just because you personally do not care about it does not mean that a bunch of other people don't. My president does. And you know what? Thank God President Trump does care about it, because it is something that should be talked about. Now, real quick, there's something I wanted to show you folks here. I said, I wonder how many times the Democrats on the 2024 campaign trail said that said that Trump is going to get rid of IVF. Does anybody remember back the 2024 campaign trail a year or a year and a half ago? The Democrats were campaigning. They were saying, President Trump, if you vote for Trump, he's going to get rid of IVF. Now, obviously, he did not. President Trump is actually a huge supporter of IVF. We just watched his big IVF situation today. But as a little bit of a reminder, just of the degree to which the Democrats were spreading fake news, here is a list, a comprehensive list of every single time during the 2024 campaign trail the Democrats said Trump is going to get rid of IVF. Senate Republicans, this is the DNC, they said. The DNC again, Kamala Harris campaign, the Harris campaign, Senator Elizabeth Warren. The DNC, Kamala Harris campaign, DNC, Kamala Harris herself. Donald Trump's project, this is Kamala Harris, she said this. Donald Trump's Project 2025 agenda could effectively ban IVF, preventing families from their chance to have a child. I found the tweet. Oh, really? Oh, really? Is that right? Oh, really? I'm just going to say that. Okay, listen, everybody, I need you to go like this tweet, okay? I need you guys to help me. You got to like this one. There you go. Well. More Democrats lying. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is big news. I think it is. I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Folks, I have to say, I am almost certain that I will not be here tomorrow. I think I will not be here tomorrow. However, Saturday, I will be here for a very long time with all of you covering the No Kings riots, the No Kings protests. So I'll be here Saturday, but Friday, I'm not going to be here. So folks, I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. all the super chats, all the likes, all the new subscribers. Thank you everybody for being here today. We'll be back on Saturday, full steam ahead. A lot of support. Thank you all very much. I saw Rachel Wilson in the chat. I'm seeing super chats. I tried to get to the super chats during the show and say thank you guys. Maddie the Surfer says thank you very much. Listen, I'm with you. I personally think that reducing the cost of IVF by 85%, I think that is a big deal. It was $25,000 or $20,000 a round of IVF treatment, and now it's going to be 15% of that. I think that is a big deal. I think it is. So I want to say thank you, everybody. I'm going to wrap up today's broadcast. I'll see you folks Saturday. Thank you very much. God bless. Everybody have a good Friday, and I'll see you all bright early in the morning on Saturday for the No Kings riots. So take care, everybody, until then, and thank you very much for tuning in. Now, Rumble, those of you on Rumble, I've pulled a little bit of a feint here.